Hey everyone. All right, today we're tackling something that is, well, it's pretty much every homeowner's worst nightmare: water damage. It's an absolute mess, it's super stressful, but here's the good news. If you know what you're doing, you can totally get through it. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, picture this. A pipe just burst. Water is spreading, and it's spreading fast. You've got like 60 seconds to act. What do? I mean, seriously, what's the first thing you do? This isn't just some made-up scenario. This happens all the time. And those first few moves you make, they are absolutely critical. Okay, but before you panic, just know we've got a roadmap for you. First, we're going to talk about how to spot the sneaky, subtle signs of water. Then we'll get into your home's unique risks, because they're not all the same. We'll cover the super important 48-hour countdown, and then we'll walk through the whole professional restoration process, from the science of drying to, the money side of things.
All right, first things first. How do you even know you have a problem? I mean, yeah, sometimes it's obvious, like a full-on flood. But a lot of the time, water is this sneaky intruder. Let's take a look at the clues it leaves behind.
Seriously, trust your nose on this one. If you walk into a room and get hit with that damp, musty smell, you know the one I'm talking about, and it just won't go away no matter how much you air the place out, that is a massive red flag. It's practically screaming hidden moisture, which is a breeding ground for mold and mildew.
And then there are these things. You've probably seen them before, those brownish, kind of map-looking stains on a ceiling or a wall. They're not just ugly, they're telling you a story, and that story is almost always about a slow, steady leak happening just behind the surface, maybe from a pipe or a problem with the roof.
Okay, think about the trim in your house, especially the baseboards. The material they're often made of, it's basically a sponge. So when it starts soaking up moisture from the floor or the wall behind it, it just puffs up. It swells, it warps, sometimes it even crumbles. It's a dead giveaway that water has been hanging around for a while, and if you have hardwood floors, this is a real heartbreaker. When moisture gets underneath, the wood planks drink it up, but they do it unevenly. What happens next? The edges start to curl up. They actually call that cupping. Or in a worst-case scenario, the whole floor just lifts and buckles. It's so destructive. So, knowing the signs is one thing. And now let's talk about risk, because not every home is created equal here. Where you live, your specific climate and location, can actually create a perfect storm for water getting in. Let's take a real-world example. A place like Issaquah, Washington. It's in this little microclimate that gets dumped on with over 60 inches of rain every year. Think about that. That's a constant heavy pressure from water just pushing against your foundation day in and day out. It's always testing the limits of your home's defenses.
And it's not even just about the rain. You might have clay-heavy soil that doesn't absorb water, so it just channels it right towards your foundation. Or maybe you're in an older home where the waterproofing is just failing. Throw in seasonal freezes that can burst pipes in your attic or walls. You can see how all these little things stack up to create a huge risk.
So, when water finally breaks through those defenses, the race is on. And I'm not kidding. This isn't about getting to it when you have a free weekend. This is a battle against a clock that is ticking down, and it is not forgiving. Check this out. In just the first hour, stuff like your drywall, your insulation, your subfloors, they're already soaked. But the real deadline, the one you have to care about, is that 48-hour mark. Why? Because that's when mold spores, which by the way are literally everywhere all the time, get the signal to wake up and start growing. After that point, you're not just fighting a water problem anymore, you're fighting a contamination issue, a potential health hazard, and your home's structure is starting to weaken. This is exactly why you call in the pros. And let me tell you, they don't just show up with a couple of fans from the hardware store. They bring a calm, methodical, scientific process to the chaos. They're here to take you from total crisis mode back to normal. It's basically a three-step dance. First up is assessment and extraction. They come in with high-tech gear, like thermal cameras, to literally see moisture hiding in your walls. And then they get all that standing water out, fast. Step 2 is all about structural drying. They set up huge dehumidifiers and air movers and monitor the moisture levels every single day. And finally, step 3, verification and restoration. They don't guess. They test to make sure everything is bone dry before they even think about starting the repairs. So let's peek behind the curtain a little bit. What is actually going on during that drying phase? It's so much more than just pointing some fans at a wet spot. There's some really cool science at play here, designed to pull moisture out of the very bones of your house. Okay, you're going to hear two important words: mitigation and restoration. Here's the easiest way to think about it. Mitigation is the emergency room. It's all about stopping the bleeding, getting the water out, drying everything, and preventing any more damage.
Restoration, on the other hand, is the rebuilding phase. That's when they come in to repair or replace the drywall, the floors, anything that was too damaged to save. And here's something you might not know. Not all water is the same. The pros have a classification system. Category 1 is clean water, from a burst water pipe. Category 2 is gray water, which is a little dirty, maybe from an overflowing dishwasher. And then there's Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff, sewage, floodwater, and it is seriously contaminated. It requires completely different safety protocols.
And this is probably one of the most important takeaways. You cannot rush this process. There's a reason the pros say drying usually takes 3 to 5 days. That's just how long it takes for their heavy-duty equipment to pull all the deep-seated moisture out of things like your wall studs. If you try to rush it and just patch things up, you are basically creating a hidden mold factory inside your walls.
Okay, let's get to the question that's on everyone's mind, the money. This all sounds expensive, and yeah, it can be. So let's talk about the real costs and, even more importantly, what your insurance company is actually going to pay for.
So, as you'd expect, the price tag can be all over the place. A small leak that you catch early, you might be looking at a couple $1,000s. But if you have moderate damage that's spread to a few rooms or a really severe flood, yeah, it can easily shoot past $10,000, especially when you add in the cost of rebuilding.
So, who pays for all this? That is the question, right? And the answer, thankfully, is usually your insurance company. But, and this is a big but, there are some really important ifs you need to know about.
So here's the rule of thumb. Your standard homeowner's policy is designed to cover things that are sudden and accidental. Think a pipe that bursts out of nowhere or a washing machine hose that just lets go. What it will not cover is gradual damage, like that slow drip behind the wall you ignored for 6 months. That's considered a maintenance issue. It also won't cover flooding that comes from outside your house. For that, you need a totally separate flood insurance policy. And no matter what, remember, you always have to pay your deductible first. So we'll leave you with this to think about. We spend a lot of time worrying about the big, loud disasters, right? Like a fire. But maybe the most destructive force in your home isn't a flame at all. Maybe it's a single, silent drip that you don't even know is there. The real question is, what's protecting you from that?